Good morning. My name is Caroline Sandoval, Education and Outreach Manager of the Hayward Area Historical Society. All of us at Haas would like to thank you so much for joining us on National Bowling Day. We're excited to introduce Jim Sommer, second generation owner of Holiday Bowl, here to talk to us today about his documentary covering his family's 47-year ownership of the Hayward landmark, Holiday Bowl.
Challenge, but she did good. And she raised two really fine men. So then I'm going to bump it way up in his history. He went to the Wharton School of Business, and I don't even know where that is. I know it's a big school in New Jersey, I think. And he got his accounting degree there. And when World War II hit in 1941, he joined the Navy. He served 4 years in the Navy, and when he got his honorable discharge, he decided he wanted to move to California because he got to see it while he was in the Navy and decided he liked it. Good choice, Dad. And so he moved here, moved to Hayward, and opened up an accounting practice. He was a certified public accountant, and that's where he met my mother, who was the Hayward school nurse at the time. I don't even know if they still have that position anymore, but they met and got married in 1948. And then in 1957, he met his future partner, Arch McDonald, at a thing. I don't want to do spoilers on my DVD, on my movie, my documentary, because I don't want to spoil those for you. I'm not going to tell too many stories that are directly out of that. You have to see it to see those, and I think anybody that's here to see this is probably going to want to see that too. But then he 1957, he met Arch McDonald, and Arch was a lawyer, a practicing lawyer, and somehow they decided they wanted to build a bowling alley in Hayward. And they got together with a third partner, and took about a year, and they had Holiday Bowl built, had that big sign up, had the big restaurant, bar, 40 bowling lanes, parking lot that'll hold 500 cars. So that was kind of unique. There's many unique things about Holiday Bowl over any other bowl, even to this day. And so they did that. Arch was a silent partner. My dad was the one who ran it. And then the third partner, his name was George, he left after only 2 years. So my uncle came out here from New Jersey and joined their team, and he became the third partner in Holiday Bowl. And it was my Uncle Ed and my dad Ralph that ran the business. Arch, like I said, was a silent partner. And that was the partnership all the way till the end. Arch passed away in 1988. My uncle passed away in 1991, and my dad passed away in 1995. And I had been working at the bowl kind of all my life. I started washing dishes there when I was 10 years old. He let me come in and actually learn the job. And I've done nearly every job at the bowl. There's a couple I didn't particularly want to do, which was cook and mechanic. And I did everything else. And then I ran Holiday Bowl for the last 10 years that we were there. But the bowling, people seem to have lost interest in bowling all throughout the country, I guess, because lots of bowling alleys were closing. We were the first. We were built in 1958, and then came Fiesta Bowl, Grand Lanes, and a little one on Mission Boulevard called Pro Lanes. And they all came and went while we were still there. And then we finally had to close in 2005 because the leagues just weren't sustaining us anymore. And that is the same reason the other guys closed. We just held out a little longer. But it was a great business. It was there for 47 years. And it's still 17 years after we've closed. It's still a hot item. People love talking about it. There's been generations of families that have grown up there. And well, it's just a huge memory for all of the city of Hayward and outside Hayward too. People came from other cities because it was pretty well known. And so when we did close in 2005, we knew we were going to close a little before we actually did. And so I took my video camera and I went around and I taped everything I could of the bowl, all the stuff that everybody sees out front and all the behind the scenes stuff that people don't see. And I was just doing that to have like a little keepsake for me and my family, and figured I would just like to watch that again sometime in the future. I had no idea of making a documentary when I did that. I just wanted to have some video of the bowl. Then after we closed, I maintained my office there. I still had an office downstairs, even though the main building was closed. I could still use my office as an office. And so I did that, and I stayed there for several years that way. And I would maintain the property. I'd go there to check, make sure everything is secure, get rid of graffiti, which just wouldn't stop. And I had to keep a close eye on it. I'd go there 2-3 times a week. One time when I was there, this was much later, this is like early 2018, so 13 years after we closed. I was on the property just doing my usual check-in, and I came across a guy that was there, and he had a camera, and he said he's a filmmaker. His name is Doug Wilson, and he wanted to know if he could film the inside of the abandoned building, because that's what he did. That was his website. He'd go on and do abandoned buildings and put them on there. And I said, no way, because it doesn't look beautiful like it used to. But then that's when the idea hit me. I said, but do you know how to make a documentary? Because I'd be real interested in that. And if you're a filmmaker, you might be able to do that with me. And he said, yeah, he did. He had done some in the past. And so we started working together. But then I found out that he lives in Los Angeles, and he just comes up here about once, maybe twice a month to visit his parents. And so when he came up to do that, I'd get together with him, and we were talking about the documentary and going over, just starting the ideas of it. But it was kind of hard to do because I could only see him once a month, and the pace was way too slow at that pace. And so we just did what we could. But then later in August of 2018, I went to my Moreau High School class reunion, and I kind of reunited. I hung out with my old buddy from high school, Sujoy Sarkar. And oh, you know what? I'm passing by the pictures. Let's show the next picture. I forgot to say next. I have to say next. I forgot that. I've not done one of these before. And I have pictures lined up here. And when I mentioned Sujoy's name, I realized I haven't been saying next. Go ahead and next. So these are, of course, pictures of our famous sign. 70 feet tall, biggest sign in all of Hayward forever. Nobody has made one bigger before or since. And we can go to the next one. Of course, these were the logos he painted on the side of the building. And next, full service coffee shop. It was really a restaurant, like coffee shop kind of understates it. It was a full restaurant, served breakfast, lunch, and dinner 24 hours a day. Next. And of course, nice big cocktail lounge. You get to see footage of all this in the documentary. Next. And the Holiday House, our big banquet room, which he built in 1965, 8 years after he opened the bowl, or 7 years rather, after he opened the bowl, he built that. And it was a huge banquet room that would hold up to 1,100 people. And it was also another big deal in Hayward. There's nothing that, no banquet rooms anywhere close to that size nearby. Next. So there it is, lit up at night. Very nice looking from the street. And this is where I met Doug, right along this area. He was walking along the building. Go ahead, next. Okay, now when I went to my we've skipped on to the class reunion. This was my class reunion, and I hooked up with Sue Joy over there on my left. And I found out that he runs the Chabot College TV station. And I asked him if he did documentaries, and he said, all the time. Next. There's Sue Joy. And so I told him my idea about the documentary, and he said, yeah, we could totally do that. That's just the kind of thing we do. And I don't know what picture we're on. I've lost track here. But we started going to the TV station next. And they have this fine equipment. It's like a real TV station, like channel 4, 5, 7, any of those big boys. Next. They have all the big equipment. And there's Doug Wilson behind the camera and Sue Joy walking up to the camera. We're getting set up for the interviews that we did. Next. So Sue Joy introduced me to a film editor named Paul Watchison, and he took all my videos that I took of the bowl and was able to digitalize them. He turned them into, digital movies, so we can do it in the most current format. And I took those along, excuse me, I took those to the TV station, and we conducted, over a period of 5 weeks, we conducted 22 interviews with former neighbors, customers, and employees of the bowl. And there's one of them there. That was one of my friends being interviewed on that picture. And he's also a neighbor, and he fit all 3 categories. He was a neighbor and a customer and an employee for a short time. And so anyway, we got all that compiled, and I put all my pictures and memorabilia that I could find, which was a lot, and I got those digitalized so we could lay them out. And next. And so we worked on that for, like I said, 5 weeks. Next. And there's my daughters. Next. And then we spent, in 2019, we started doing all the editing and stuff. Well, he introduced me to another editor, Terrence Smith, who was my main guy then to edit this documentary with me. And we started working here at the TV station, and we were working twice a week, 4-hour sessions each time for many weeks. And just kind of had to figure out how we wanted to lay it out and how we wanted to incorporate all the interviews and the pictures and everything. It was quite a bit of fun. I've always liked filmmaking. I used to do little home movies on my Super 8 camera when I was a kid. And so this was real fun for me. It was a lot of work, but it was also a lot of fun. And our editing got interrupted by COVID from mid-March to mid-June. So we basically had to stop, and we couldn't go to the college during that time. But then after that, we resumed filming once a week until we finished in January of 2021. So we finally finished. It took, I don't know, how many months is that? We started in March 20, finished, so it took at least 10 months to edit all this. And it was perfect, turned out just the way I wanted. And so I started working with a company next to produce the DVD, that's the cover of it. And I applied to the copyright office to get a copyright for it so we could do it all proper. And I got the DVDs made, and I worked with a web designer to make a website, which is holidaybowlhayward.com. You'll see it up here on the screen later. And that's where I have stories about Holiday Bowl. I have pictures. I have, you can buy the movie there streaming or DVD, and can also put other people at, there's movie reviews. You can put your stories up there if you email them to me. And that email is holidaybowlhayward@yahoo.com. If you want to contact me, that's where to contact me. And next. So here's a picture of the website, the front page of the website. And it's, well, I don't know if you can see it with the pictures there, but there's photos, reviews, and a couple other different pages. Next. And then in June of 2021, I had my grand showing of the DVD. First time I showed it in public was at the Dark Horse Lounge, which is my daughter Jenny's bar. And it's a very nice place on the corner of Winton and Hesperian. Anyway, we showed it there to a full house. Everybody that was there, I think everybody that was there knew the bowl, so they were really anxious to see it. And we showed it, and it was really popular right off the bat. And so I got my copyright. Took 10 months. I got the copyright in November of 2021, and I applied for it in February. So they're kind of slow, but I still got it. And next. And so now the movie is there. It's available DVD and streaming, like I said. And there's the website address down below. That's a picture of the cover of it. And here's a picture of the back of it. I don't know if you can see this on there. Got some interesting pictures and a little blurb here. Tell about it briefly. And there's the front, but you can get it there. And I had a lot of fun making it. It was great to tell the story because so many people grew up there. I remember seeing when I worked, one of the jobs I did was working at the desk. And when I worked there, I'd see people come in and they'd bring their kids, and I knew everybody because I'd see them every week. And then the kids grew up and I was still working there. And then I'd see the kids, they'd grow up and get married and have their own kids, and they'd start coming in. So I actually got to witness multiple generations of families coming through there. And it was great. What a great experience. And there's not many businesses that would allow you to do that, I don't think, and have fun while you're doing it. So that's kind of how the DVD came about, how the idea, I didn't think of it when I was filming, but it turned out to be a darn good idea that I did that. I was so glad I had that footage when I thought of doing a DVD, because of course that is perfect. Let's see what's next. Here's a picture of my dad at a tournament in 1961. And I guess we can go next. These are the lanes when this is from the 60s. This is back before we had the overhead machines. This is where you had to keep scoring manually on the little tables there. Next. And there's a picture of our 40 lanes. And next. There's another good picture of them. Next. I'll just go through and show you some of these pictures, and then we can have some questions. And next. So these are the lanes and the concourse. And that was, of course, after we got the scorekeeping machines. You can see them up on the ceiling there. Next. And that's before we had the scorekeeping machines. That's how you kept score when you were there for open play, when you just went to bowl, not in league. Keep score on those. Pretty interesting. Nobody does that anymore. Next. And there's the pencils. I show a picture of that because there's the pencils that he kept score with, and he had them all personally, done, like that holiday bowl, 40 lanes, we never close, and all the little adverts in the middle there. And you can see the old phone number, Jefferson 80300. He picked 0300 because it is the number of perfection. It's a perfect bowling score. That is why he picked that number. Next. There's a patch, very pretty patch that we would give people to put on their bowling shirts. And you get to see a lot of this and more in the documentary. This is some of what you'll see in there, but there's much more that I'm going to show you here. Next. And people that went there will remember the restaurant sign. It was very nice, right outside one of the entrances to the restaurant, and pretty big restaurant for a bowling alley. One of the biggest that I've ever seen in a bowling alley. Next. There it is. See, that's pretty big for a bowling alley restaurant. We had really good food. I think everybody that knows it really misses that restaurant. Next. And we had a fine cocktail lounge, also bigger than most any bowling alley that I've ever seen. Next. There's a view of it on a busy night. And a lot of people had a lot of fun there. Next. And we also put on rock and roll shows in the early 2000s, from like 2000 to 2005. We had bands play there every Friday night, 3 or 4 bands a night. And they would be original bands that played their own songs, not cover bands. And this was in the bar. This was at the back of the bar. This was a small meeting room we had called the aquarium room, because there used to be an aquarium there, but we took that out. But it was perfect. Could fit a couple hundred people in there to watch bands. And that went on for the last 5 years we were there. Next. And there's a picture of the Holiday House, which my dad built in 1965. And had many banquets there. I was a busboy. I was dishwasher. I worked a lot of banquets. Next. There is that's the biggest banquet we had, 912 people. seated at a dinner for Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan's up there on the stage next to my dad. And this is a picture of that event. Next. And there's another event that was, I believe that was a wedding. It was many years later. Next. And there it is. There's the DVD and streaming ad for my documentary. And I think everybody watching here, if they haven't already seen it, they would love to see it. Definitely. So I guess we could open up to questions if we're there yet. We have, I think this is the last slide, right? I think it is. So I tried not to touch on too many things from the documentary because you will want to see it firsthand to get some of those stories.
Right, well, we do have some questions that are coming in from the crowd. And the first one I'm actually really kind of curious about myself. And that was, how did your family decide to use the bull on the holiday bull sign? So for the bashful bull,
Oh,
how did that become the bashful bull?
so can they hear your question here?
I think they can, yeah.
Oh,
we can hear that
good. Okay, well, I know the answer to that. My dad really liked a restaurant, I believe it was in San Jose, called the Brave Bull. And I think they might even still be there. I am not sure. But he kind of liked that name, and he made a little play on words and decided to call it the Bashful Bull instead of the Brave Bull. And just made up that logo of Elsie the cow, or I guess it's not a cow, it's a bull. Wouldn't be Elsie then, would it? Okay, forget that idea. Okay, but the holiday bull, oh, maybe his name was Ferdinand, because the original banquet room down in the underground parking garage was called Ferdinand's Hideaway, and it showed a picture of that bull. So I guess that would be his proper name. And that's how he decided on that, because he was kind of making a little play on the Brave Bull restaurant that he liked.
Shannon has another question. Was Holiday Street across from Mission Boulevard named after Holiday Bowl?
I do believe it was. Yep, it was not there before we were. So I'm pretty sure it was. I mean, it would be kind of bizarre if it wasn't. Why would you name Holiday Street out in the middle of Hayward, right across the street from Holiday Bowl? So yes, I'm pretty sure the answer to that is yes, they named it after Holiday Bowl.
Much like Valley next time.
Right, right.
So it looks like Naomi wants to know about the child care area. Did you have a child care area?
We did. We called it the nursery. I think now the proper name would be a playroom, but yeah, we would take kids as little as a year, I guess, that still needed diaper attention, and we would do that up to the age of, I don't know, 11 or 12 or something. And yeah, we'd give them things to do. They had a million toys to play with. They had little tables and chairs set up so they could do drawing and crafts and stuff like that. And they had some games that they could play together. So there was stuff to do for all the different ages. And yeah, for a nursery, for a or not daycare, but I'll just call it nursery because that's what we called it. It was pretty high end. I would think if a kid went in there, they wouldn't mind it. They'd probably like it because there's so much to do. So yes, we did have one, and it was pretty unique, just like everything else there.
Jeffrey Owl wants to know, or he says he remembers the blue lighted tower that was shine at night. Exactly what was that?
Okay, I love that question. People ask that every now and then. That was an antenna that my dad, and it's covered in the DVD. So you should watch the documentary if you want to learn about that. Of course, other stuff too, but I do cover that in there. And I was able to reanimate it with the help of a graphic artist. That was an antenna my dad had on the roof, and it was about 30 feet tall at least, maybe more. And it had little rings going up it that were neon. They would light up, and they would do it in sequence. So one would light up and then it'd go up, 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 and they would, so it looked like a thing going did it up the pole. And the purpose of it was to get people's attention. He called it the attention getter. It wasn't there for any other reason. It was just there for people far away to be able to see Holiday Bowl. And I know that at night, airplanes would use it as a landmark. They'd know exactly where they were when they were flying, because there's nothing else like that around. So that was it. It was just called the attention getter, and that's what it did. But then there was a time much later, we probably used it like for 30 years or more, and then we stopped using it. And then we eventually had to take it down because cell phone companies came to us and wanted to put antennas on the roof to give us some extra income. So we didn't want to say no to that. But the city told us if we want cell phone antennas, we have to take the attention getter down. Well, it worked out okay because we already were not using it anymore. And this way the cell phone companies paid to take it down. So that worked out. But that is the answer to that.
Well, we have Robin Cowbottom wants to know what was the name Holiday Bowl created? Like, how was it created? Why is it called the Holiday Bowl?
That's a real good question, because I don't know. I do not know why he picked the name Holiday Bowl. He never told me if there was a specific thing to that, like such as the restaurant, such as the Bashful Bowl and Brave Bowl. But no, I don't know the answer to that. I guess maybe just holiday is a nice event in people's lives. So maybe just to bring up image of fun holiday.
But we have a comment that came through on behalf of the Fairway Park kids. We are proud to be part of the Holiday Bowl family. So it looks like you have some of the Fairway Park kids out in the
Yeah, I
audience.
love the Fairway Park Kids. It's a Facebook page. A lot of people that I knew when I grew up in Castro Valley, but I went to Moreau High School in Hayward. And of course the bowl was in Hayward. So I spent a lot of time in Hayward. And when I went to Moreau, I met people that lived in Fairway Park. A couple of my best friends that I'm still friends with today lived in Fairway Park. And I like gravitated there, and I met lots of nice people, and I made a lot of friends. So that was kind of my stomping grounds, was Fairway Park. Even though I lived in Castro Valley, all my social time was spent in Fairway Park with my various friends, who I have probably a half a dozen real close friends from Fairway Park that I still associate with. And then when I went on Facebook and I saw the Fairway Park Kids page, I thought that's great. Then I can say hi to other people I knew back then too. So good, glad to hear from them.
Yeah. We have someone said what they want to know whatever happened to the famous sign.
Famous sign. Here's what happened to it. I didn't want it to just get torn down and thrown away. It would be too sad. It's too momentous of a sign and an actual landmark in the city. So I put out the word that I wanted to either sell it or give it to somebody that could keep it and do something with it. And I came across a retired contractor who said he would love to have it, and he has property, which I'm not going to say where, but he's got about 10 acres or something. He's got all these tall trees on his property. I've seen it, and I told him he could have it for free because he spent $7,000 to take it down and transport it to his property. And I saw the whole thing happen, and I know right where it is. And he's going to re-erect it. I don't think he has yet, but he wants to put it up on his property in the middle of all these trees that are about the same height as the sign. And I think that would be awesome. And when he does, I will be up there to take a picture and put it on various sites so people could see it.
Yeah, I love that. Philip Jones also wants to know that he heard, or he says he heard somewhere that Holiday Bowl was used in a scene from a feature film at one time, and wants to know if that's true.
That is very true. And that's also in the documentary. It's a movie called the Darwin Awards. It's with Joseph Fiennes and Winona Ryder. And they came to me in 2004, and they needed a bar and a restaurant for their movie. And the director, Finn Taylor, his niece or somebody bowled at the bowl, was a bowler there. So they knew we had a nice bar and a restaurant, and they asked if they could do a couple scenes there. And we did. We agreed on all that, and they came in and took over for a whole day and took over the bar and the restaurant and filmed a couple scenes. And I got to be the bartender in the movie, which I'm just in it for about 5 seconds, but I don't speak, but I do serve a drink to Winona. And yeah, they made a full feature movie out of it. It's called the Darwin Awards, and it's out there on, Amazon and everywhere.
So we can see them. Well, the last question, which is I think one of the best questions I've seen come through so far, and that is from Miss Angie Sommer. Hi, Angie.
Angie.
Angie wants to know what one of your favorite memories of Holiday Bowl is.
Wow. Hi, Angie Sommer. You're there.
Fancy meeting you here.
Yeah. You had your picture up on the screen a little earlier for a second. Well, let's see. Gosh, one of my favorite memories. I don't know if it's one of my favorite ones, but it's a funny one that I always think of. We used to have the pinball room. We've always had good pinball machines and videos. And we used to have the pinball machine over to the north end of the bowl. What is now, what was the promotion office, used to be the pinball room. And I was in there playing, and it was probably the pinball room up until I was, I don't know, 10 or 12 years old, and then they moved it. And I remember being in there playing a pinball, so I was probably 8, and I had glasses because I was nearsighted. And back then, all you could have was horn rim glasses, black or brown. There's your choice. So I had black horn rim glasses, and I was playing pinball machine, and some teenager came over to me and said, "Hey, how long are you going to be playing that machine, Clark Kent?" He called me Clark Kent because of my glasses. And I don't know why that memory has stuck with me forever, but I thought it was pretty funny at the time. And but my favorite memory, gosh, I have so many. Maybe it was when I was a carpenter for about 6 months. I was actually in the carpenters union, but it rained and rained and rained, and I had a job. I had a place I was working not far from the bowl, and it was raining, and I was working in the mud, and we couldn't work days, and so I wasn't making money, and so it wasn't working out for me money-wise or any other way. And my dad approached me after about 6 months of that. He said, "Hey, we just had a bartending job open up at the bowl. Would you like it?" And I was 22, so I jumped on it. I said, "Yes, I would like that." And I did it for 17 years. I bartended for 17 years, and I had, well, see, this is going to be in the documentary too, so I don't want to spoil things, but I think, yeah, working as a bartender was my favorite job there because it was the most social. I was a dishwasher, I was a busboy in the banquet room, I was a cashier in the restaurant, I worked at the desk, I became a desk manager, I was a janitor in between those times. I did, like I said before, I did everything except cook and mechanic, and I didn't want to do either one of those. They're too hot and greasy
Both sides of that.
Yeah, right. And so I think one of my favorite memories is when my dad asked me to be a bartender and I could get out of the mud and stop working in the rain. That was very nice. And I had a lot of good times doing that. I mean, it's a serious job. You got to do it right and you got to take good care of your customers, but it's kind of a fun job. And it's the one I did for the longest time.
Yeah, I like it. So Shannon Mahoney just wants to say thank you to you and your family. I have a lot of good memories of the Holiday Bowl and some of the first dates and bowling with friends and family.
Oh, thank you. Nice to hear from you.
We also have our board member, Tom Lorenzen, says, thank you for your presentation. Lots of memories return as we recently discussed. My dad was your dad's first GM and my mother was a hostess in the restaurant. I bowled with Jim Goodman in the junior league there, and he's now ranked as one of the 10 greatest pro bowlers of all time.
Right.
In addition, he was co-chair for the dinner of Ronald Reagan in December of 1965, and it was when Reagan first signaled that he would run for governor. Your dad and I discussed and shared our memories before he passed. He's happy to see you, and thanks you for coming in.
Wow. Well, thank you. Boy, you're majorly connected to Holiday Bowl. That's good. Yeah, I've met with Tom before. He's a very nice guy. Thank you for watching this and commenting. That's great.
All right. Well, if anybody doesn't have any more questions, we just want to thank everybody again for joining us this morning, and especially on National Bowling Day for Jim's presentation. Of course, if you would like to purchase Jim's documentary, you can do so right here on the screen. You'll see holidaybowlhayward.com, and that is available streaming as well as for purchase on DVD. Also, if you are looking to take a look at it beforehand, you can take a look at Books on B. I believe they have a few copies that they would be happy to sell you if you don't want to have to wait just a couple of days. So either way, thank you again. And if you would like to watch this series again, you are welcome to join us on our YouTube channel where we will post this in a few weeks. So if you missed anything, you can certainly go back. But we want to thank you all again for joining us and have a lovely rest of your Saturday.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for watching.